It's Bitcoin, y'all. I'm your host, Zoom Out. It's not financial advice. These are my opinions. I want to talk about self-custody again. It's very important. If you buy Bitcoin on an exchange, and I'm talking about any place you buy Bitcoin, so Coinbase, Crypto.com, Strike, which I've talked about in previous videos, and that's one you can do with no transaction fee. Anyway, if you buy them on this exchange, and then you let them just sit on the exchange, then you really haven't gotten what Bitcoin is about. It's not that you've done anything wrong. It's just that there's one more step, which is self-custody. So you move it from an exchange to a wallet that you have that is what's called a custodial wallet. That means you own it. You own the keys to it, which is kind of like, you could think like a password, but it's a list of words that allows you and you only to have access to it. That means that no government or group of people or individual can take it from you. You don't have to trust anyone with your money. You only have to trust yourself. Now, this is the first time that that's occurred in history. Now, you might say, well, I hold my cash. That's true. But digitally, this is the first time that this has occurred in history. So digitally, which is what we're moving towards as a whole economy, we're going in the digital direction. This gives you the ability to, in a sense, like you were holding cash at your house in a lockbox or under your mattress or whatever you want to say. It's kind of like that, except for you can do it digitally. Now, if the reason that you want to do that is because it looks like that what these exchanges are doing, some of them, when I say all of them, some of them are selling more Bitcoin than they actually have. They are artificially creating Bitcoin. And the thing about Bitcoin that we've discussed in the past is that it's got a set amount. 21 million is the amount that will ever be created. It has an issuance policy of how often it's distributed, and it has a decentralized way of distributing it. Those are all powerful tools. But if these exchanges are all of a sudden creating Bitcoin out of thin air, then it's not good. I mean, it means that if everyone was to try to take their Bitcoin that they've purchased and move it to a cold wallet and take it off these exchanges, they wouldn't have enough to allow that. And so people would lose some money. These companies might end up going out of business and not paying people back. And right now, there is no federal insurance or global insurance or any type of insurance that's going to protect you. So you've got to protect yourself. That's the term trustless. You don't trust anyone else. You only trust yourself. And in order to do that, you have to take the time to learn a little bit about what this self-custody is. Just type in on a Google search or a YouTube search, Trezor or Ledger, or you could even just type in Bitcoin cold wallet. That'll pull up tutorials on how to do it, and you can learn all about it. But if you do that, then you're using Bitcoin the way it's supposed to be used. You're storing it safely so that you have that exact amount of Bitcoin forever till you choose to spend it or sell it or do whatever you want to do, give it to your family members. Now, if that happens, well, let's give another example. Another example of where it could go bad would be some regulatory issues. So let's say that there was plenty of people not pulling it off and these companies were functioning fine, and then all of a sudden the country that they're based in, that the business is based in, passes some strict regulation against doing that. That's going to cause some big ripples. I don't know if people would lose money. I don't know how it would work. But it's possible that if it put these people out of business, that you could lose your money. And so that won't happen if you get it off the exchange and self-custody it. So those are just two examples of how it could go bad. Now, even if that happens, Bitcoin doesn't care. Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO, doesn't have any people running it, no company running it, no centralized group running it. It's a decentralized network, and I talk about that in my videos. I talk about the details of how it's decentralized. It's decentralized from an issuance standpoint. It's decentralized from a self-custody standpoint. And so if the odds are that Bitcoin is still going to be, over time, adoption is going to go up, even if something bad like this happens. So if you've got your money in cold storage and you've got some time, then you can outrun any of these negative things that could happen. And as adoption goes up, the price will go up, because it'll be back to that set amount that Bitcoin is designed to only have 21 million. And it does only have 21 million. Bitcoin is not creating more artificially. These are exchanges. These are companies run by humans who are doing things that are not right. So, self-custody it, you'll be safe. I'm going to give 2 examples real quick of how we could see why we might see more adoption on this in the near future. And those are El Salvador and the Republic of Africa. So 2 countries have made it legal tender, and for a couple different reasons, but for the same overall reason. So countries like El Salvador get loans from the International Monetary Fund, which is abbreviated as IMF, that help gift their economy a boost. And those loans eventually have to be repaid, and if they can't make the payments on them in full, then there are what are called austerity measures, where you have to decrease the size of the economy. It shrinks the economy. And so you see the economies expand, and then they can't make their payments, and it shrinks back down, and then the IMF comes in and gets another loan, and they're stuck in this perpetual cycle that doesn't allow real growth in the system. And so, of course, when things are bad and people are poor, you see higher crime rates, you see things like that, and there's been no way for them to get out of that. Now they're making Bitcoin legal tender in hopes that that can give them a way to build generational wealth as a country for themselves and for their citizens. Same thing, but different situation. The Republic of Africa, small country in Central Africa, their legal tender was the French franc. And there's a bunch of countries in Central Africa that the French occupied and set up their money to be the money in that system. Now, the French don't even use the French franc anymore. They use the euro. But these countries still use it. It's their only legal tender. And then if France, which they have in the past, decides that, hey, these people owe us money, or we want some of that wealth, then they can devalue the dollar and essentially the French franc, and essentially take some wealth off of the balance book of those countries that are already poor, and then put it onto their balance book, making them wealthier. And this is just what humans do. Unfortunately, when the power is there to manipulate the money in your advantage, countries do it. That's the selling point of Bitcoin, is no one can do that to you. So this country, the small country, is thinking, hey, Bitcoin might be a way for us to get out from up under the thumb of France, just like El Salvador is like, maybe we can get out from up under the thumb of the IMF. And if they're successful, my guess is you'll see a bunch of the countries surrounding them, who are also on the French franc, follow suit. And so these are big deal things. These are world-changing things. These could be potentially great things for these countries. And time will play out, but it looks like over time, more and more adoption will happen. Those are just a couple examples. That's why I think it's going to go up over time. Self-custody your money. Get your Bitcoin safe if you've already bought some. Get it off the exchange. Put it in cold storage. And if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. Thank you for listening today. Hit the like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.